G'day folks, just a little bit of an update for everyone who's been asking what's going on with the renovations and what we're growing this season. To begin with, the renovations, we're just waiting on the builder to get back to us. John is waiting on subcontractors. Anyone who's renovated or built knows that there's a chain that has to be followed. So once John has all the final figures, he'll be sending us through a quote and we can go to the bank. He did let us know last week that he's getting close, so hopefully we might have some news in the following weeks. While we are renovating though, we will have to be out of the house, so that's why we've wound back the garden. We've also had to move parts of it, which I'll show you through the clip, just so we can get earth moving equipment around the back of the house. And we're also planning on doing a little bit of renovating landscape wise of the backyard as well, but I'll mention that quickly through the clip. So instead of me chatting about it now, we'll grab the phone camera and go for a bit of a wander. So to begin with, I thought we'd start up near the aquaponics and just show you that the root pouch gardens from inside and outside the little hoop house there have gone. So as most of the hoop house, still got a little bit over the fish tanks there. The reason being is the builder has suggested that they quite possibly will be bringing earth moving equipment down the back here. So we're going to take out that little retaining wall sleeper and this one down the front here. And we've moved the rock to one side, just so they don't, dig it up too much. And we've got a fair bit of junk around as well. Just to give you a bit of a look underneath our little bogan bigola. Yeah, pulling everything out from underneath the house. There's a couple of little canister filters down there that I might offer up to locals in the next aquaponics clip, and some other filters and wicking beds and small fish systems. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess at the moment, but it's all got to be moved for the renovations. Give you a bit of a look at the garlic here. She's going really well, except for one small problem. I don't know if you can make it out there. It's a bit glary in the phone screen here, but we've got a lot of yellow striping down the leaves. And from what I can tell, it's quite possibly a virus that's come in with the garlic rootstock that we've bought. So yeah, as a result, we won't be saving any of this garlic for next season. I brought the magnifying glass out looking for mites and that sort of thing, and I couldn't see any. So from the garlic book I've read, it's quite possibly a virus. So yeah, we'll just eat all this garlic, no great loss. I did give it a little bit of a water before. The watering system for these Vegepods is up the top there. If you are interested in these Vegepods, by the way, and you're in Australia, I've got a 10% discount code. Bits out the back, just down the bottom there. You can enter that in over on the website and you'll get a 10% discount, and I'll get a little bit of remuneration for sending you their way. Also, for you folks in the States, over on our Amazon influencer store, link in the description, I've got a page of Vegepod stuff listed there if you're interested. Down the back here, let me show you this. We do have a little volunteer sunshine chili that's still hanging on, and an aloe vera down there. Start over here at the old ginger bed. The ginger's been harvested, and congrats again to everyone who won a pack of root pouches. I decided to build a little bit of a trellis, and I popped out some honey pod peas. There's 4 lots of plants along the back there, a couple of broccoli in the middle, and some upland cress. The upland cress is actually a dead end crop. The white cabbage butterfly lay their eggs on there, the caterpillars hatch, eat the upland cress, and they die. So we're going to see how that works. I've actually sown some seeds around elsewhere, but hopefully, yeah, Bianca will get a nice harvest of honey pod peas from there. And around the front, I planted out 4 of the ginger mothers that were harvested from here, just to see how they go. People always ask me how they go, so I thought, best way to find out is to plant some. This little area down here is where all the root pouches have ended up. You can see the soil down there. We had some awesome patrons. G'day folks, Mark and Alison. Some Patreon members came around and they help us dig out a wicking bed over there and move all the soil down here to try and flatten out the area, just so we can have a bit of a flat, stable base for the trays the root pouches are sitting in, because we do sub-irrigate all these pouches. It's no great loss, because after we finish renovating, we are looking at terracing some parts of the backyard just to make it more usable, because we do lose a lot of usable area down the sides and along the back, just because of the role of the terracing. So we might do a little retaining wall and all that. We'll just have to wait and see how much money's left over. Oh, by the way, a quick thank you again to Mark and Alison. You can check out Mark's website just up there. He builds guitars and sells equipment, so if you're into that sort of thing, he ships worldwide. He's pretty well known on the scene apparently, so you can check out Mark's website up there. Bit of a plug. Thank you very much for the help, mate. I really appreciate it. Down into what's here, the lemongrass there. Once things warm up a bit, I will be dividing them, finally. They've been in that soil far too long. Some warrigal greens and some green onions. Down here we have the bananas. That's the decasse over the back there, and it's got a little sucker just down in there, and you can see that the trunks are starting to send new growth out from the center. I just had to chop them back to move them. It was just far too heavy, and I did rip the other pouch on the blue Java, trying to move it, mainly because you're supposed to lift by the handles and not pull from the sides, but no one told me that. Well, they did, but I just stuffed up. So what I did was I got a shovel, or a spade, sorry, and just cut off a sucker and popped it in that root pouch. And then once we work out what's going on down the back, we'll plant them out properly. The blueberries have all been fed up with some compost under their mulch. There's a number of flowers on there, so hopefully we might get a little bit of a crop from these little blueberry bursts. And over the back here we have the mulberry. She's sending out flowers and new growth again, so we're really pleased about that. There's actually quite a number of little flowers on there that you can probably see. I was talking to Bianca the other week about taking a load of cuttings and starting off some new plants, and she suggested that we have enough on our plate at the moment, so maybe wait till next season. The next little tray just has the pond-lie ginger, which is dying off, of course, because it's winter here, and we have the Australian native ginger over the back that's still growing. Next bed we have the mint. The mint's been fed up with some compost. I gave her a really hard cutback. It gets smashed by grasshoppers every warm season, but they seem to leave it alone through the cooler months, so hopefully we'll get some nice growth on there before the grasshoppers return. And this is the large 65 gallon or 250-ish litre root pouch from the back stairs. Kira and I actually moved that here. I let it dry out for a couple of days so we could pick it up. There's two handles on these guys, and we could just pick it up and bring it down. And as you can see, the warrigal greens have come back quite nicely, and we have a load of Jeff Harriet's Chinese red shallots here. I was going to pull these all out and feed up the bed, but yeah, the growth on these guys has just been that good. Since I moved it, there's bounced back well. I thought I'd get a nice decent harvest off them before I feed it up with some compost. Another blueberry, and behind the blueberry we have the hedge root pouch. It's supposed to have mint in one end, oregano in the other end, and society garlic in the middle. But you know, oregano and mint being what they are, they've just spread all through the pouch. Down here we have some purple Congo potatoes. I found them under the house, planted them out because potatoes do better through our cooler months, and I don't have any root stock of these guys left, so I'm pretty much all growing these so I can grow another crop from the tubers. Bit of a polyculture root pouch down here. We have some strawberries, some oregano down the bottom that's moved in by itself, rabbit ear lettuce, and over the front we have a very warty strawberries. This strawberry plant always pumps out fairly large fruit, so we're pretty impressed with them. And down here some more oregano and some sunshine chilies. And yeah, brings us on to the papaya, or the pawpaw as we call them here in Australia. It got a bit of a haircut. This is the one in the air pruning wicking barrel that was at the back stairs. Obviously it needed to be moved. Because it had this new growth coming out the sides, I gave it a bit of a haircut. I know my father does it to his as well. The reason it's got this tin can over the top is they have a hollow trunk. So if you leave it open to the elements like that, you end up with it rotting, and yeah, just let the side branches take over. Due to it being cooler here, we are getting a lot of the black spot fungus on it. So they all need a little bit of a spray with the wettable sulfur. Even the plant down the back there has got some. So I've actually got a papaya growing clip if you want to check it out just up there. So these guys need to be treated. And just quickly while I think about it, the red papaya down the back there has given us a couple of very nice fruit this week. So I'm really impressed with how that one's going down there. And down here I rejuvenated all these barrels. This one here is just laying dormant for the time being, and I'll have a successive sowing of carrots in there. This one over the back here has a couple of broccoli, and I sowed out some upland cress seeds either side and some broccolini style plants down the front there, an heirloom variety. So this poor little asparagus here has had a troubled life. As you can see, the stem is actually growing, it was growing like that with the main stem growing down. That's because when I got it from the packet, I planted the root section down, not realizing that they'd packeted it the wrong way with the roots going around the top of the crown. So the plant was planted upside down. So I was wondering why it wasn't doing too well this season. So when I took it out of the root pouch to put in the wicking barrel, I put it around the right way. So yeah, hopefully she'll do a lot better this season. I was a little bit confused as why she wasn't doing too well, but obviously now I know. And along the back there I put some Provider bush beans. They're just the small little bush beans. The barrel next to it has a couple of different carrots in it. I've just got this show cloth over the top. just to keep it nice and moist because you don't sow the carrots too deep. This is actually a blend of soil I've made very sandy, so the carrots can go down through the soil easily. Along the front here I sowed out some of the black carrots that I saved seeds from our carrot that went to flower last year. And up the back I sowed a couple of arcs of the Manchester table carrot, which is just a purchased variety. I didn't think I had many left other than some saved seeds, so I just grabbed them from the hardware store while I was down there last time. And over here in this very shaded area, if I can move myself here, we have a couple more of the honey pod peas, and down along the front I sowed out some of the good bug mix from Green Harvest. It's got things like dill in there, coriander or cilantro, also calendula and little aromaths and all sorts of things. So it's basically meant to bring in things like ladybugs, also the lacewings, and just beneficial insects into the patch. As you can see, it is very shaded at the moment. That's because I need to chop back these Chinese celtus trees down the fence line, but that's all right because, like I said, I want to terrace this area, so we need to put a retaining wall down here anyway. So these all need to be dug out at some point in the future. Just quickly out the front, we have some broccoli that we're just harvesting the side shoots, and some cauliflower on the grow. They have had a few issues with the white cabbage butterfly munching on them, so I need to get the BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, out there today with a dash of horticultural oil in there to help it stick to the leaves, and I'll give them a bit of a spray later on this afternoon. And also too the ginger clip, the ginger, how to grow ginger from planting to harvest. The 5 steps that I like to use. That clip will be coming out in the near future. I just had issues with it, the editing software crashing and all sorts of problems with that, so I have to start from scratch, but such is. I was just setting up the camera to finish filming and I realised I didn't show you the lime tree. The lime tree was very heavily pruned. There was a couple of reasons. Firstly, the branches were sort of shading out the front here, and I wanted a lot of sunlight in there for those root pouches. Also too, I noticed a fair number of galls from the gall wasp on the smaller branches, so I just nipped them all off and thinned out the centre, mulched up the branches and popped them down below. I fed up the soil with some compost first. Also added in a couple of bags of the tan oyster mushrooms we brought home from the workshop that got a lot of green mould through them. So that's all down there feeding up the soil. I doubt we'll see any oyster mushrooms from down the base there, but I suppose you never know. And I also pruned back the Queensland arrowroot along the front, as a lot of it was shading out the pond there, and we want it nice and warm for the goldfish and the firetail gudgeons in there. So I can't believe I almost forgot the lime tree, poor old dear. Before I go, I really do need to thank you all for coming along and supporting the channel. This time of the year is a real downtime on YouTube for us, view-wise and subscriptions. It's almost like as soon as June rolls around, YouTube flicks a switch and I get half the views, and then come December, they switch the switch back on again and we start getting views again. So not quite sure how that works. I have seen other people complain in the same sort of genre as what I do here. So anyway, such is, I suppose. Before I go, I really do need to thank those awesome folks over on Patreon who come and help us with the garden. Thank you, folks. And also support us through the website over there. As always, there is a list of the super contributors down in the description below, and I'd really appreciate it if you could go down and show those folks some love. There's websites, their business websites. There's also their Facebook pages for their own homesteads and things like that. So it'd be great if you could go suss them out. As for next clips, well, I want to do a short one on the aquaponics. I say short, probably end up long. And I also want to do another one on the sunshine chili harvest and the coffee harvest down the back. So I'll try and film them this week, and once I work out how to use Resolve, I'll get them posted to YouTube. But I will leave it there. I do hope you're all well and happy, and your own gardens and aquaponic systems are booming, and I will catch you next clip. Cheers, folks, and have a top one.